Howdy everyone and welcome to my Disfantastic vlog. I'm your host, Kenta Naomi, and this is my vlog. In here, I'll be talking about all the things I'm working on in entrepreneurship as well as where I'm learning from. And you can use this as a guide to find out what I'm doing to start to learn and grow, or what I have done for people looking back in the future. And you can use that as a template or at least some kind of guide work to help you figure out your own plan, to have your own career path, whatever it may be. The main three issues today are going to be blog site updates, Christmas, and relationship and spiritual growth. What's currently changing and improving? The big one and the only one we're going to talk about in this category today is number one, the blog site. Update number one, we might finish the basic coding by the end of the year. This means that I will have the coding for the main page and the template that will be used for all the other pages of the blog site finished by the end of the year. Might not, but hopefully. We're very close. Update number two is I'm using a space order ad. I made something because I'm not going to get ads on the site as soon as it's launched. So I did something clever inspired by some bench ads I see, making a long ad saying, see you look, web ads work, as well as a lot of statistics from sources that I have listed at the bottom of the ad that show why this would be profitable for someone to want to put their ads on my website. Number three is I probably won't actually launch the blog site by the end of the year, which means the $200 a week isn't extremely likely by the end of February 2021. That doesn't mean it won't happen. That doesn't mean it's impossible. On the contrary, it's still completely possible and still something I'm going to be aiming for. But it's not as guaranteed if I don't launch by the end of the year. Okay, on to our small talk for today is going to be talking about Christmas. What we all just celebrated, what I actually wrote this script right before, so might sound a little out of place. Um, but it is hard to work through the holidays. So for me and for everyone else out there, if you aren't as efficient in everything you want to get done during this holiday season, that's understandable. A lot of people are going to be having this issue, be it family Zoom calls, mailing and ordering presents online, whatever it may be. This will tend to trip you up and be an additional thing onto whatever you had planned to get done. So if you don't get everything done the way you normally would, or especially not the way you want to, then understand that this is the reason, and this doesn't mean that you're a failure. It doesn't mean you're incompetent. It means there's other things that aren't normally accounted for in your standard weekly schedule that are happening, that are kind of a one time a year thing. These won't be an issue the entire year long. These won't be an issue even any even on other weeks besides the week these are done on. So to move forward with confidence that you'll be able to continue the same productivity or higher that you had beforehand. Um, and the second is the big exciting thing that is Christmas, being able to celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ. If you're into that kind of thing, is kind of like the big thing for me about this and why I feel all this love and joy around this holiday. The next thing is, and it might be too late for some people to say this, but to remember to stay quarantined, wear a mask over your nose, um, and while staying at least 6 feet apart in um aerated, ventilated areas. Do not go in non-ventilated areas in this time unless you have to. and make sure you do take proper safety precautions. Loved ones of many people will be dying because they chose to gather during this pandemic. Don't let those loved ones be yours. And if you're a little bit late to get this message, I am really sorry about your loss. But still try to celebrate. We have Zoom, we have Twitch, and both of those are fantastic ways to get your interactions and to be able to interact with people you normally would at this time of year. I know we've had multiple Zoom calls with families and with friends already, and it has been amazing to be able to see everyone, to be able to open gifts with everyone, all the while knowing that everyone is safe and no one's going to get hurt because we're spending time together. But once this pandemic's over, if you're reading this message after the pandemic or hearing it, don't worry. It was a pandemic. It is gone. For us still here, may the peace of the Spirit be on all of us. So, my big three. My first one is YouTube and TikTok. I really need to figure out a good time to start cutting up previous um, YouTube videos for TikTok because I just ran out of already cut up pieces. But as I mentioned before, it makes sense that I would want our time to do things in the holidays with all the holiday stuff happening. Um, Number two is scheduling. Still working on getting that figured out. Once that's figured out, I'm gonna be far more efficient. This Monday, I had a near perfect schedule with hours of free time after getting all my work done. So that's a proof that I can do that. And if I can do that, that's proof that you can do that as well. You can get everything done in the time you have. It just takes a bit of organization and budgeting. Third is the blog site. I want to be able to get this launched as soon as possible. Once this is launched, I'll be able to start making some progress with it. And once I'm making enough progress, I'll be able to show ad companies that's a good place to put their ads so that I can start making money off of it and they can start making money off of it while my readers have to pay nothing so that everyone wins. So, what I am learning from this week, I'm learning from Jason Capital. Um, First thing is don't be upset if someone makes money faster than you. If one of you takes one of my ideas and starts running with it and are able to make thousands within the first week while I still haven't made anything off of it, that's not something for me to be upset about. That's actually something for me to be excited about because I've proved that I can make that kind of money with that idea. Second is to simplify your ideas. This is ideas that you are sharing with others to get them on board with it so they will have a higher impact. For example, um, exciting people over succeeding in school is going to be a much more impactful if you say aim your success high instead of make sure you get a good GPA, get onto the dean's list, have the right classes, don't goof off, and get work done so that you get good grades and graduate. The first one, you kind of immediately understand it here. The second one, you're starting to get confused even if you understand things. And it's not an encouraging thing, it's just showing you what you need to do. The more encouraging and short you can have is better. And that was kind of a grossly outrageous example, but the idea still carries forward. The third one is about bios. Specifically, he was talking about Instagram, but this works for everyone, is to add emojis and proof in your bios. So say you have 4 lines of things written, have an emoji as on each line and have proof somewhere in there. Avoid the word free in your bio, not because it doesn't convert, but it's bad for positioning. If people see free in your bio, it's going to make what you look like even look like, make them expect you to do stuff for free, or cause that they'll think that your stuff is cheap, or both. So then you have people who are shocked if you try and charge for anything, or you have people thinking, oh, this person is cheap, I'm not going to worry with them. I still got to update my bios for this, so I'm excited to get that done as well. Bios, specifically for Instagram, have 4 parts at Jason Capital listed. The first one is a statement. This is pretty much saying what you do in a short idea, as we talked about earlier. The second is to put a proof um, as a second line. You can, if you don't have proofs yourself, what you can do is you can leverage proofs from what you are doing. Say you're talking about doing something on YouTube and helping people do their thing. Even if you don't have the proof on how to do that, you can find what someone has done, look at their statistics, and use that as a proof to show that this has happened. Third line is a call to action, prompting them to take some action, whatever it does, something that will help you. In Jason Capital's examples, he was always talking about to DM and have something to DM X would, so that people would DM that to be able to get something for free, but you don't say free, so you can say like an evaluation or etc. etc. Fourth one is a link to your website, so that your social media page becomes the start of them going to that next place you want them to go to. And so they can also check and make sure you know what you're talking about, and check and make sure that you're the kind of person they want to work with. Because a lot of people who are actually trying to work on someone they found with someone they found on Instagram aren't going to just trust the page. Last thing is to use happy to be of value instead of no problem / you're welcome. Say you thank me for something, and I say I was glad to be able to help. This builds rapport and allows the conversation to continue going. If you say, thank you for doing X for me, and I say, you're welcome, that kind of puts an end on it. So now all that your build up you had is gone. And if you want to continue the conversation, continue trying to lead them to what you want them to do, you now have to start from scratch in that conversation again with that awkward end afterwards. You can also take this reverse. So if you want to close a conversation, instead of saying happy to help or happy to be of value, you can say you're welcome, and that's kind of a clean end to cut off. So good in sales. So it's good in sales to use happy to be of value. It's good for ending conversations to use no problem and you're welcome. This would also be good for my introvert friends or any other introverts like me out there that aren't trying to get in conversations. Though I am trying to get in conversations and would love for you to let me know. My links are in the description if you want to contact me or just leave a comment. In Wise Up World, there's a few things I've learned before I go into the homework, is busy and hard can get in the way of interaction. As you're trying to build relationship and even a spiritual connection, having being busy all the time or trying to do something that's more difficult in it makes it harder to build that interaction. Don't yet Another thing Pete Vargas was saying is to not let yourself become isolated. As I said before, Twitch and Zoom are amazing for this. I constantly feel like I'm in interaction. I've been socially exhausted this week, even still in quarantine. Um, and that's not something that I would have expected to happen where I'm all alone to ever feel like I'm talking to people so much. But with this, you can access everyone you used to contact before, build those relationships, continue communicating, as well as find new groups to hang out with, pretty much at on a whim on Twitch. Um, Anything you allow to get in your way will get in your way. So if you allow something to distract you from your schedule, for example, where you have a thing to do, but you give something the opportunity to start taking some of your time, it will take that time. Exactly what you allow it to do, it will do. So if you want to be able to keep a tight schedule, make sure you have some kind of boundary between you and what would distract you or take that time for you. This works in far more areas than just this, but is very important to not allow things to get in your way unless you want them to, because they will if you allow them to. It's kind of like Murphy's Law. Be connected with something greater than yourself. For me, that's God and serving His will. But for you, it can be anything. It can be God, any God, gods, um, the cosmic consciousness, charitable organizations, a fandom, a group, your legacy, anything. But have something bigger than yourself you are working for. This helps you to move forward and to do great works without just saying it's just me to rely on. It's one reason I've been able to push myself as much as I could, even when I was in the pits of depression, is that I knew that there are people who are failing now and in the future because I have not gotten stuff started yet. There are people losing out on their potential because my lack of work. So being able to know that it's not just about me. Me failing at life is not just one person failed. It is me not being able to help those I'm called to help, has been a huge thing and a huge part of it for me. And as I start to build this up and can eventually launch my school and help all my students become their best selves instead of just stagnant gears in the system, that will continue to be more and more motivating, especially as I see results and see people getting helped. So have something that is higher than you, a greater purpose than just you, that you're living your life for. Now it's on to relationships and spiritual growth, which was the main topic of this week 4 of the final 5 series. Relationship subcategories 1, 2, and 5: spouse and significant other, kids and grandkids, and colleagues and coworkers. These don't really apply for me as a single entrepreneur who does not actually have a job or any income yet, and definitely does not have kids or grandkids. But for the big part of this with relationships is to spend intentional time. Set aside time where your intention of that time that you have chose to set aside is just to do that interaction, just to focus on them and interacting with them. This becomes important, especially as life starts moving faster. People can forget to connect with their husbands or wives, which can cause you to kind of drift away. People can disconnect from their kids because all they're doing is working all the time, and their kids start feeling neglected or lonely. And with colleagues and coworkers, it can be like, oh, this is someone at work. I don't have a connection. So not only is my work slower and their work slower, but it can actually cause negative interactions that really make me hate my job instead of building a connection with everyone. So you have that web of people you're friends with that make you just love being in that environment. Number 3 is family outside the first two. Show them encouragement, love, and support. This is the big thing. If you love someone and encourage them in what they're going after, show them that you love them and give them your support. This doesn't mean you have to drop money on them or you have to start giving them a ton of a specific resource. But that means if they're excited to start a blog, or start a new career, that you get excited with them and show them that you support them in doing that action. if you even just are just like, or aren't even really showing that support, it shows that you don't love that person or you don't want them to do what they are doing, which can be very hurtful for that relationship. Figure out who you can encourage and who you can be an encouragement to. This is also connecting with friends. Hold on, I skipped one for a sec. Okay, so for friends, figure out who you can encourage and who you can be an encouragement to. This becomes important with building that friendship up so that you can always make sure you're encouraging them and they can feel encouraged, and that makes them excited and want to be around you, as opposed to you just expecting things from them and trying to get things from them, which will make them start to feel a kind of friction about being around you and not want to have that connection, even if they don't notice you're doing it. Another part of friendship is to focus on core friendships, such as your best friends, those people you have a close connection with. We all have acquaintances. We should all have lots of people we have or currently do consider friends that maybe we are hanging out because of this specific thing, but we don't have a tight connection with. But then we each have those core people, those people who you know are there no matter what, those people who you want to have a close friendship with. That's the most important to focus on. If you start throwing out the pose to anyone you can, some people will pick it up. They'll be thankful. They'll call you their friend. They'll consider you their friend as you consider them your friend. And then you'll maybe talk a few times, maybe go years without talking to them. Those core friendships are who you can connect to all the time and you know are always there unless something tragic happens. So focus on those and focus on building those. Don't try and spread yourself thin by trying to be friends with everyone. Though that's good to be friends with everyone. That kind of work is exhausted and more than anyone should expect on themselves. My number five, which is opposed to the number five Pete Vargas as colleagues and coworkers, mine is masterminds. While the one I had has turned inactive, I still find these vital, as it has helped me a ton, even though it was only a bit in 2018 to 2019 that we actually had this mastermind working well, and most people have fallen out of it or just gone inactive. It's like they don't use Facebook anymore. Um, This is similar to Pete's 5, but this can apply to anyone. Finding that group of people who you're at a similar skill level with or similar level with whatever the mastermind is about, but you all have different things that you can bring into it. So you have that connection, you have that trust, yet you can build each other up because you're all drawing from different pools. It doesn't mean you're better than the other. You should not be considering yourself better than the other at any point in a mastermind. But this is huge for trying to build that tool set and your skill set and to try and get new, fresh ideas while having a group you can rely on. This is especially important for entrepreneurs and intrapreneurs. Pete Vargas really sped through these, so it doesn't have all the best content, but I think I did pretty well on this. My annual relationships with intentions are to build a mastermind and a fan base. A mastermind so that I can have people I'm working with at the same people, and a fan base so I have that huge group of people that I'm able to help and help lead to the life that they want to live. Also, to be able to flirt with girls, I want to date as easily with people I don't want to date. Because this is an awkward situation where people I'm not interested in, I can be really open with. But then it's like, I want to be with her, and I got a hard time talking. I'm sure I'm not the only one with that issues, as many TV shows would suggest. My core intention for this year is to connect with those important friends in my core friend group. I know I'm not the best with communicating. I'm definitely not the best at being the first one to send a message. But there's a lot of important friends that I want to be able to connect with. And I want to be that as a more common thing instead of something that's real. Success at the end of the year in relationship looks like to me living in a non-disclosed area and being able to see my best friend bi-weekly to monthly. That means I'm able seeing him at least once a month, but hopefully twice a week or more, yet still getting work done. That would be a huge success in relationship for me at the end of this year. I'm so excited. On to spiritual growth. The subcategories is first faith, believing in truth, even if evidence isn't accessible. This could mean that you got a testimony of the truth before, but you're having a hard time remembering it at this moment, or you're having a hard time um trusting your own experience at the time to have faith that is true. Even atheists have to have faith that no God exists. As God being something you can't prove or disprove without testimonials, if you're atheist and you don't have obvious proof that God doesn't exist, and it's not, and you haven't like seen somehow outside of existence that there's no God at all, you are having faith that God doesn't exist as an atheist. If your faith is true, and sometimes if it's not, you can find more evidence. You can find evidence of what you believe. You can find evidence that as far as you can tell is factual. I would try and keep an open mind with this, but also not to immediately doubt what you know just because someone has an opposing idea or you think there might be a conflict. Because these can happen and might be just limited by your own understanding, which can cause you to have something that's amazing and true and then discard it. Um, Prayer and worship. Church, this a great way with this is having church groups to praise the Lord with, or praise whatever you're praising with, or any other groups, not necessarily church groups. It's not a religion that has a church. And musical hymns, things that you can really just sing your whole soul out. I find a lot of Christian rock bands, as well as the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square, or Tabcats for short, on YouTube, are a great way to do this for me. Third is scripture. For me, I can access everything from the Gospel Library, but also on the YouVersion or the Bible app. If scripture is true, answers can be found in it. So if you have true scriptures, you can open it and you can be able to find answers to a lot of problems. It doesn't mean it'll be easy to find answers, but it means they will be there. 3.5, be connected with something greater than yourself. As I have said earlier, this is huge because this helps you have that thing to devote yourself to. And trying to do things on your own will never be as successful than if you see something bigger that's going to be there to help you succeed. Number 4 is prayer. Pete Vargas suggests 5 minutes of praise and thanks, 5 to 10 minutes of praying for others. and a few minutes listening. Gordon Havens, or Pastor Gordon as I tend to call him, taught intercessory prayer, and that has been in a like, of course, there's only supposed to be a few months, but actually ended up going on for years. But it has been such a huge impact for me, and he still is teaching stuff. He actually has a YouTube, which I'll put his link in the description as well to his YouTube account. Number five is a community of believers. This is a group where you can talk, discuss, discuss, and celebrate each other's wins. For me, this is my ward in my church, as well as my Bible study group. But this could be almost anything, but you need to make sure you have that group you can share your beliefs with. That way you're not alone and you're not struggling to try and do this alone. If you have questions, other people can help find those easily. And as you succeed and make breakthroughs on improving yourselves or even just in life, everyone can celebrate that together. My annual intention for spiritual growth is to keep up with Come Follow Me and better my understanding of the gospel. Um, Core intentions for spiritual growth is to grow closer to Christ and to become more like Him. What success at the end of the year looks like to me is having read through all five books of Scripture from start to finish in that one year alone. That is um, my success. So thank you all for coming this week. We have one more of the final 5 weeks, and then I'm going to make either one of these or another videos about reviewing how my year was. So make sure you subscribe to see next week's videos and the other videos that we make on this channel. Like or dislike to let me know what you thought and comment to give feedback, or you can DM me on Twitter, TikTok, or Twitch. Thank you all for coming, and may the peace of the Spirit be with you. I'm your host, Kenta Naoma,